Hey, welcome to Genre Exposure, a film podcast. Join us as we explore the wide world of cinema, broadening our horizons one movie at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Dustin, and as usual, I'm here with Jason.
Hello.
And Michael.
Hey!
What's up, guys? How you doing?
You switched me up, man. I was about to talk and say, hey, because you're supposed to say me first.
Just wait for your name.
I've been alternating. I thought that would be fun.
Did you alternate?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't really pay attention.
We'll hammer it out. We're still
Don't you
early days.
edit these?
I do. I don't listen to them. That's why they sound horrible.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. Thank you, Dustin. How are you?
I'm pretty good, yeah. It's good that we're in a goofy mood, because this is a very goofy movie we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Ain't it, though?
But
so
first,
excited.
as usual, what have you guys been watching?
Ooh, I'll go first this time.
All right, Michael.
Okay.
So I actually rewatched a film that we watched for Movie Club before we started doing Genre Exposure.
Nice.
Because my wife really wanted to see it because she was jealous. I rewatched His House.
Ooh.
Great movie.
I wish we could have done an episode about that.
I do
but
too.
yeah.
And my wife was like, why don't you guys do this one on the podcast? I was like, because it's been like 2 months since we watched it. But, okay, so I'll give you the brief rundown.
Yeah.
It's a Netflix film. Focuses on 2 refugees from Sudan, I believe.
I think that's right.
War-torn Sudan that come to England as refugees, and they bring some baggage with them. Perhaps a haunting? Or a ghost? Or a witch? But as they get here, it's a very dark movie, very serious film, but you get to see kind of the prejudices against refugees.
Mm-hmm.
And that feels very, very real. And you almost wonder, like, what's the real horror of this film? But as they get to their destination where they're supposed to basically sit and wait for their hearing to find out whether they can be granted citizenship in the UK, they sit in this home. You guys know this. Just act like you're interested. We've watched it, but just act like it's a surprise.
I'm very interested.
No, you're not.
I can't wait to see what happens next.
As they're in this new home, it's falling down. Like, it's a really big shithole. And they know it. You can tell that they know this place is a shithole, and the government knows this place is a shithole. But they put them here, and they just await for their hearing to find out if they're going to be citizens. Well, all of a sudden, some haunting shit starts happening. And they start seeing and hearing things in the walls, and dude goes crazy and starts knocking holes in the walls. We'll go from there. That's all in the trailer, so I didn't really spoil anything for you.
Right.
And notably for Doctor Who fans, Matt Smith.
Yep, Matt Smith is in it.
Yep, gives them their house.
Also, let me find out her name. But if you recently watched Lovecraft Country...
Oh, yeah, she's very good in this.
Ruby was in this movie. Oh, God. I'm going to ruin that. Okay. Played by... I don't know. You can look it up. She's super cool. She's great.
Well, listen, this movie is awesome. I have to give it my highest recommendation. But quit listening to us. Just go watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I told my wife, I was like, we can't really go back and do an episode on this because it's been too long, but I can at least try to give this movie some love. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of a sleeper. A lot of people...
I've not seen a lot of people.
No, I've seen a couple podcasts talking about it, but I didn't hear about it from that. Like this was one of those few times where I turned on Netflix and it bombarded me with the trailer when I was just trying to read the goddamn synopsis and I didn't need it blaring at me. But it did, and I was like, I want to watch that movie.
Yeah, I think I first heard about it the day just before you brought it to show.
Yeah, so. and we watched it on a blind watch together. I had not seen it. Really, so good,
Man,
though.
so good.
Yeah,
so great
good.
Acting, great effects, great story, great theme, everything.
Yes, and the actress you were trying to come up with, her name is Wunmi Masaku. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But yeah, she's a great actress. She really nails it in this movie.
Yeah, and she's great in Lovecraft Country, too. If you haven't seen Lovecraft Country, that's also awesome.
Lots of fun.
Okay, cool. I'm done now. What'd you guys watch?
Jason?
I watched a movie called The Kid Detective.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's a recent, I believe it just came out in 2020. The synopsis of the plot is: a once celebrated kid detective, now 32, continues to solve the same trivial mysteries between hangovers and bouts of self-pity until a naive client brings him his first adult case to find out who brutally murdered her boyfriend.
Cool.
Interesting.
That was not what I was expecting.
Yeah. That's a cool hook, though.
Yeah, it is. It's very much a dark comedy. It's one of those movies you can't talk a lot about without giving things away. Mm-hmm. But if you're in the mood for a mature, adult dark comedy that doesn't insult its audience and doesn't go where you expect it to, check it out. I recommend it. It's very good. Lots of fun.
Where'd you see it?
It was on Amazon. Actually, I had to pay to rent this one.
Oh, okay.
But $4 or whatever, it's worth it.
Yeah, you money bags.
$4 Ooh.
You money bags.
But no, I recommend it. It's a great movie. Directed by Evan Morgan. I think it's his first feature.
Cool.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, recommend it. How about you, Dustin?
Well, you guys went super new. I dove back into the past a little bit. I found out of all things, somehow my girlfriend has never seen Psycho, the Alfred Hitchcock original.
Oh,
wow.
Shit. My wife has never seen Psycho either.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about it the other day, and I was like, you know what? We've got some time. Let's fix that. Let's finally... I haven't seen it in years and years anyway, so why not go back to it?
Yeah.
And everyone knows it's a masterpiece. There's nothing I can say that's profound about it at this point, but man, what a good film.
Right. If you're like either of their significant others and you haven't seen Psycho, go watch Psycho. It is so good. It holds up so well.
And what I forget that I never remember till I go back to it is how much of the first part of the film where it's just Marion and she's just going about trying to run away with this money. And you almost think, like, if you went in and you'd never seen this first time in theater and the film's called Psycho, you think that's maybe the plot about her going crazy and losing her mind.
Sure, or running from the law.
And that could be the whole film, but she just happens by incident to end up where Norman Bates is and kind of crosses paths with a killer like that.
Mm-hmm.
The first Psycho thing that I saw the remake.
I'm sorry.
I know. But I saw it in the theater by myself, and I was like, ooh, I'm going to see a horror film by myself. But yeah, it was really bad. And when I watched it, I was like, what's the big deal about this movie? Why does everybody talk about Psycho? And then eventually I watched
the original, the real Psycho.
And I was like, holy shit. What the fuck was that movie? That wasn't this movie. I mean, yeah.
Anthony Perkins is just so good in that. He does not get enough credit for that role.
And even the sequels, just him being in them makes it worthwhile to watch those too.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually really like Psycho 2. I think it's a great movie.
I liked it.
Yeah, you got to check it out.
It's fun. So yeah, Hitchcock's a master. Psycho is one of the greats.
Yeah, this is no surprise. But it's good that you showed it to her, and I'm glad that she enjoyed it.
She loved it. I loved it. Great time.
Awesome.
I'm going to be watching it soon because my wife keeps saying, like, we should watch Psycho, and then we just never do.
I think everyone just needs to see that movie.
Yeah. And she also wanted to see The Birds, too. She'd never seen The Birds. And I was like, that's awesome.
You know, Vertigo is probably my favorite film that he has.
Vertigo's amazing. Yeah.
I don't know if I have... I mean, I want to say Psycho's my favorite.
Mm.
And
I'd probably go with Psycho.
Do you think that's a cop-out answer? No? Is it okay?
No, I think it's that good.
It deserves
There's a reason why people still talk about it.
All right. I also really like Rear Window.
Oh, so good.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, Psycho. It's definitely Psycho.
Another time, maybe we should just do like a Hitchcock episode or something.
Hitchcock exposure. Welcome to the wild world of Hitchcock cinema. All right, are you guys ready for the synopsis? Yeah. Well, first, the film.
Mm-hmm.
Psycho Goreman, 2020. Directed by Steven Kostanski. We'll get into him in a minute. But first, Psycho Goreman. After unearthing a gem that controls an evil monster looking to destroy the universe, a young girl and her brother use it to make him do their bidding. Yeah, that doesn't sound like it's going to be as crazy as it is, right?
No, seems pretty straightforward.
Sounds like your typical 80s, kids meet alien type movie type thing.
Yeah. Kind of like an E.T. type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something in the construction that this film is. What genre would you say it falls into?
You have the answer to that one because I think it's a very specific type of genre.
I think it's all the genres.
It's a blending of quite a few things. So
let's take all the things we like, shove this shit in a blender, pulse that thing like 5 or 6 times, and what you get out of it is Psycho Goreman.
Pretty much.
Yes. So it's definitely a horror film. There's a lot of horror elements, monsters,
I could have done that
creatures.
one. I could have said it was a horror film.
Okay.
I don't think it's a
I'll
horror
give it to
film.
you.
I disagree.
To a point.
Oh shit!
I don't think its intent is to scare.
Probably
Therefore,
not.
it is not a horror film.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Then I retract my answer, and you were wrong, and I was right, Dustin.
Please continue.
Let me just go from my...
I'll interrupt you whenever you're wrong.
Thank you. Well, it is okay to be wrong. I'll just go from myself. So there's two things that I really think this film's composed of, and the first one is kind of that... I don't know if it has its own name for a genre, but it's like the 1980s, like Amblin-style family films.
Nostalgia films?
Kind of, yeah. That's definitely like one chunk of the movie, and then the other chunk is these monsters and all this stuff going on, which to me, it has to be to them, I would hope so. It's all relating to this Japanese genre called Tokusatsu.
What is Tokusatsu?
You're going to think you don't know it, but you do, I promise you. So it's a style of Japanese live-action work where they use a heavy amount of special effects. And that's exactly what Tokusatsu means, is special effects.
Cool.
And there's a few subgenres within that, which is where we're going to get into what you know. One of them is kaiju films, like Godzilla.
I know those.
I
Everyone knows
love
that.
those. I'm a big kaiju fan.
Masked hero, like Super Sentai or Kamen Rider, which we know in the West, Super Sentai is Power Rangers.
Okay, cool.
So even if you're not into that, you kind of get the vibe.
My childhood, man.
Dressed up with the helmets and stuff, monsters in the rubber suits.
Lots of sparks.
And mecha, shows that have giant robots and stuff. Like, there was a Japanese show called Giant Robo that I think came to the West as Johnny Sacco and his flying robot.
Oh, that's a classic, yeah. Or Gigantor.
So all of these kind of involve, people in big suits, rubber suits, that act out the actions of monsters. And it actually has its origin in kabuki theater and bunraku theater. And it wasn't really formalized until Godzilla. That's kind of when it became a thing that people actually talked about and took and went forward. And they actually call the technique suitmation, which is the process of portraying monsters and other creatures with the use of elaborate suit acting.
This makes Psycho Goreman sound extremely prestigious.
It does.
A little bit.
I would say it is prestigious. Fuck you if you don't think so.
I mean, but it's all, you might even call it like lowbrow, but it's just all fun stuff. It's people in rubber suits, lots of pyrotechnics, lots of explosions. And you see this everywhere. Everyone knows Power Rangers, Godzilla. Genre fans are definitely going to know Guyver, which is a Japanese manga turned anime turned Western films.
Yeah, starring Mark Hamill in the first one.
Oh, yeah.
And J.J. Walker.
And you even see this stuff in, like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The design of Ant-Man's costume even is very much a throwback to those masked hero kind of films.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So this is all over the place, and I saw it deeply in this film, which excited me.
I think that's a big nostalgia for me. Like sometimes nostalgia hits you and like, well, I'm not going to say sometimes because I think that's its whole purpose. It hits you and like colors your impression of something that may not have been as good as you think it was, but it's there and it reminds you of, your youth and
And I'm a big Toku fan, so that part hit me hard. And then I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, so the Amblin thing, this family movie angle, it all just kind of meshed up for me well.
I mean, Jason didn't grow up in that age. Dustin and I are the same age, but Jason didn't grow up in that
I'm
age.
a little older, yes.
But I'm sure you've seen all those films.
I've saw them. Yeah, sure. Sure, I like a lot of them. Absolutely. The
But-
Power Rangers thing was lost on me. I was a little too old at the time.
Michael,
man.
Michael and I were just the age to
Right, it hit you
hook on that.
perfectly, yeah.
I mean, my parents, God bless them, they went through all the crazy stuff to get me the Power Rangers toys.
Oh,
Like-
man, mine too, and bless them, man.
Christmas Eve, I remember my mom like sneaking out of the house on Christmas Eve, and I'm like, "Where are you going?" And she's like, "I have to go pick something up," and because we live in a small town, and we used to have a local toy store here, KB Toys, which I think was
It's a national chain.
It's a national chain.
Yeah.
But we had it in a super small mall here, and it was a tiny little store. And my mom had just made friends with the manager. And they just talked, and the manager called my mom and was like, "You're not going to believe it. We got a shipment of those turtle things in."
Those
Mom-
turtle things.
Well, but it wasn't the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was what was the Turtle Zoid?
Oh, I was like,
That was like
geez.
several seasons
Yeah,
in.
that was a little into it.
Yeah. But it was a big deal, and no one had this toy. Like it was the Turbo Man of that Christmas year. And my mom snuck out of the house on Christmas Eve and got it for me. And man,
That's
I
awesome.
realized I'm so fucking spoiled as a
yeah,
human being.
you really were.
I was,
You probably still are.
still am. I'm so spoiled.
I mean, I graduated to the Japanese originals, but still, even now in my 30s, I'm watching, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, that kind of stuff.
But do you have them on blue?
It's hard to get. There's not a lot of Western releases of that stuff.
You chump fan. You fake fan.
Okay, well, that's a couple of genres that this movie is.
That's
well, what
the
else is it?
ball field we're playing in.
I think the biggest genre, though, is comedy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think this would probably, this might get categorized as a horror comedy in a lot of ways, and I disagree with the horror thing because I don't think this movie's intent to scare.
It's more science fiction than horror.
I guess maybe horror comedy is kind of where I even got the horror idea in my mind in the first place.
Sure.
But yeah, like when you talk about Gwar, the horror rock band Gwar, they consider themselves like a horror band.
Not to be confused with the jazz quartet Gwar.
Is there a jazz quartet Gwar?
No.
I was like, well, that's a really unfortunate name for them because there's going to be a lot of confused fans showing up at their shows when they're not spraying blood out of giant penis cannons.
Maybe they should.
They probably should if they want a better audience. But yeah, like Gwar is considered a horror band, but they're sci-fi.
Yeah.
And they follow in that same vein. So I think Psycho Goreman could play in Gwar.
Easily.
Yeah.
Well, according to Wikipedia, it is science, fantasy, horror, comedy.
That's just a cop-out.
Too much.
I don't
That's just
know.
some bullshit.
They all
That's what that
apply.
is.
They all equally apply.
They do, but pick one, goddammit.
It's fair, though. This really is like playing to a lot of different genres. And I think that speaks to their tastes and where they came from in making it. Because this guy, the director, Steven Kostanski, he's part of a film collective called Astron 6.
Okay, you were talking about this, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they've worked on a lot of, like, independent productions. They usually try to do, like, 80s-style inspired low-budget horror comedies. And I don't think I've seen all of their works, but I've seen most of them, and every one of them's great, man. Just
I've
awesome.
only seen, which we were going to get to this eventually, and I promise we'll get to Psycho Goreman. We'll get there. We'll talk more about Psycho Goreman because that's the point of the episode.
Listen, we're building the foundation.
Yeah, it's all about the build-up, man. You can't just go right in. You got to build up. It's all
Right.
about the foreplay of Psycho Goreman. Yeah, I know. Okay. The Void.
Yes,
We can't talk about this movie or Kostanski without talking about The Void.
which he co-directed with Jeremy Gillespie.
Mm-hmm. I think a modern classic? Is it too soon to say that?
I think a lot of people don't really know about it,
Right. Which is
unfortunately.
a shame.
So The Void was initially streaming on Netflix, I think. It was also streaming on Prime at one point, as included with Prime. You didn't have to rent it or anything. I'm not sure where else it is.
I've got the blue.
Get your shots, guys.
Shot.
All right.
And it's one that's truly worth owning, I think, even if you're not a super collector.
But much like Psycho Goreman and all of Astron 6's output, it's very heavily indebted to the 80s.
Yeah.
It does have that nostalgic angle, but the thing about Astron 6 and all of their directors and writers, they get it. They know how to use nostalgia correctly. They still make a really great movie that stands on its own, that still invokes that feeling. Like The Void is very reminiscent of Carpenter films.
Yeah.
And I have this problem sometimes when it is like a nostalgia play where if I can't even quantify it, but if it doesn't seem genuine to me, I very much reject it and push back against it.
Stranger Things!
Yes, I'm not a fan. But Astron 6, like all their stuff, like they kill it every single time. I'm right there, man.
Agreed.
I'm going to argue with you real quick. First season of Stranger Things felt very genuine. As we went on, started to not.
I'll give that to you. Yeah, I agree. And then it really leans into that whole, remember this? Remember that? Hey, remember this?
But I think in The Void, I didn't see Manborg, which I think came out before the Void.
The budget
did.
hurts that one. It's a little,
It's fun, but yeah, it's...
but it's super fun.
But The Void kind of takes all the things I love and throws them into a movie. I mean, I love John Carpenter. I love The Thing. The Thing is probably my all-time favorite movie ever.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going there.
And
I'm gonna say
I mean,
that.
it's a good pick. But
The creature effects in the Void, too, for like the budget they have are
Yeah.
incredible.
Very reminiscent of Rabotin. Like, very... It almost...
yeah, the director is a special makeup effects artist.
Right.
He's done a lot of great stuff.
And it's not... It's nostalgia, but it's nostalgia in a way that's just like, we fucking love these movies and we're going to make one just like it because we love it.
Yes.
It's not... They're not pandering to me.
You feel their passion as you're watching
Yeah.
it.
I was literally just telling somebody today, make the art that you want to make, and the passion that you put into it will draw people to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
If you're making something for somebody else, you're never going to love it as much as you do as if you make it for yourself.
No.
So for all artists out there, just always remember, make it for yourself.
And
That's why you
listen,
do it.
if you listen to our last episode about the fifth chord and you're still kind of reeling about this giallo genre, Astron 6 has done one themselves, The Editor.
It's great. It's so good. I can't sing the praises of that movie enough.
And it's a thing about Giallo. It's hard now, I think, when people try to do modern ones to get the feel right.
Yeah, it comes across as just being a pastiche.
And the editor is almost like the Scream of Giallo films. Like, they both make fun of the genre and laugh about it while still being a competent Giallo.
Yeah, they completely nail the feeling and look of a Giallo film.
Yeah. Super good. So anything you see these guys on, like, it's worth a watch.
Yeah.
And Psycho Goreman shares an actor with the editor. I have not seen the editor yet. But
it's Adam Brooks, who in Psycho Goreman plays the father, Greg.
And he also co-directed the editor.
Oh, did he?
Wow.
Yes.
Man, these guys are great.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the first thing I knew of the editor. I saw something about it. I think Rue Morgue had a write up on it at
Most
one
likely.
point.
Yeah.
Which, God, I need to subscribe to them again. I just kind of let it lapse. Good mag. Anyway,
No sponsorship, but
Yeah.
just love them.
It's good
but I
mag.
saw The Blue on your shelf, Jason.
Indeed.
Which
So-
we watched that as an early days movie club thing.
We sure did.
Yeah.
This was when I didn't live in Kentucky anymore, and I was not a part of the group.
Yeah, you weren't cool enough, but now you are.
I set up in Ohio all by myself. Insert sad music here. All right, let's get to Psycho Goreman.
All
So
right.
quit fucking around.
All right, take us in, Michael.
Okay, so this movie starts off with this crazy homemade invented game between brother and sister. What was it called?
Crazy Ball.
Crazy Ball! And there were so many crazy-ass rules, and none of it made sense.
It's kind of like, do you guys remember the film Basketball with Matt Stone
Yeah.
and Trey Parker,
Yeah.
where they make up? It's like that, but for dodgeball, kind of.
Yeah.
Just like a weird hybrid.
That works. And it's also completely believable that these kids would be playing something called Crazy Ball.
Yeah,
that they made up
super
themselves.
eccentric kids, too. Like, the little girl,
Mimi.
she steals it, man. She steals that
I think
movie.
she's great. I
She's-
really do.
She's a little mean in a way, but you get it.
Nita Josie Hanna plays Mimi.
We've all known that girl.
And that's the setup for the kind of Amblin plot of there's this dysfunction in the family.
Yeah. But her and her brother are attached at the hip.
Mm-hmm.
You know, her brother's the one that's always like, I don't know. I don't think we should do it.
Well,
You know?
he also gives in to her every whim and demand.
Yeah.
I mean, he's older than her, but I think he's also a little afraid of her.
Yeah, she kind of browbeats him into everything.
Right. But
Shit,
there's
I was
also
afraid
love
of her.
there.
Yeah.
But he also loves her, and that comes across.
And there's, as we'll see later on in the film, there's a lot of dysfunction in the family between mom and dad, and you can definitely tell that Mimi's overcompensating and really trying to cover for the insecurities that she feels. I'm giving a lot of like deep psychological evaluation to this movie.
I mean, it's there though. I think
It's there. And that's why this movie and all the other Astron 6 movies, they work because they are so well written.
It's there. Like, it's overshadowed by the comedy and the absurdity of the film, but it's there.
Yeah.
And I get it. You know, you really kind of feel sorry for this girl, and you get that her brother does too. Mm-hmm. Her brother has already accepted, I think, the bullshit of their family.
Well, he's digging his own grave after Crazy Ball
That's true.
because he lost,
Yeah,
and the
that's
loser
true.
had to be buried alive.
Yeah. Which gives us to how they find the power item, or the item that...
strange amulet.
Yeah, the
Yes.
strange amulet. They dig up their backyard, and the parents seem to not have any real problems with this, other than the fact that it just needs to be covered back in.
Well, so let's get the dynamic of the parents a little bit. Greg, the father, he's kind of one of those, like, doesn't want to do anything, really. Just wants to sit around, watch TV,
But
chill
also
out.
be the cool dad.
Yeah, be the cool dad.
I see no problem with any of those.
And the
'Cause
mom...
you have no fucking children.
Oh, right.
The mom, Susan, she's kind of, I guess, the order of the family, and unfortunately has to police even the dad as well.
Right. I felt a little too connected to dad.
a little too real.
I related. I related.
For anyone listening, all three of us have very strong, powerful women in our lives that are our significant others, and we know our roles.
And we love them dearly.
And we do.
Very much.
Yeah. If they're listening, we love you.
Well, they're not listening. Who are we kidding?
They're not. Oh, yeah. So they find the strange amulet glowing in the earth.
And it's on this weird kind of like canister coffin-looking thing.
Yeah, some sort of sarcophagus.
So naturally, what do?
Take it. Why
Take
not?
it. Why the fuck not?
Looks cool.
Yeah, I'd take that. Which ends up summoning Psycho Goreman.
Well, he's not Psycho Goreman yet.
No, not yet. What is his actual name?
He's the Archduke of Nightmares.
Yes. And he comes from the planet Gigax, which I'm sure is a reference to Gary Gygax, right? D&D.
Very much so.
If it's not, there's some real big coincidence.
No, I'm sure all these guys played D&D in high school. They know about Gary Gygax. Purely deliberate.
Yeah. So, what we know about the Archduke of Nightmares is that he is okay. Well, initially he was enslaved by this species that comes to his planet.
They're kind of these like techno angels that look really cool.
Yeah. It's still very rubber suity. Don't when we talk about this, don't forget this is all rubber suit practical effects.
And they kind of bring order across the galaxy by conquering worlds, and they control them. They seem to have a kind of a pseudo-Christian-y-ish religion.
The Templars is what they're called.
Yeah, the Templars.
So his species is imprisoned and enslaved, and they're made to work the fields and
mining camps.
Mining camps. And once the Archduke of Nightmares makes a deal with, is it their...
Well, he finds the gem.
He finds the gem.
Right.
Yeah.
But
he gives him power.
But doesn't he make a deal, like the gem is made from like the darkest powers of the witches of...
I think that's the gem's backstory.
Yeah.
And
it's important.
He just found it.
The gem's backstory.
There's a lot of backstory to this movie.
Yeah, really
and that's one of the great parts. It's just this epic mythological, and a lot of it's, obviously over the top kind of nonsense, but it also... It's strangely compelling.
Yeah.
It's so once he gets this power, he's going to take on the Templar, free his people, and then unleash the rage that he's been building from being enslaved
by destroying everything in his path.
Everything.
Humans are insects to him. He shows up and makes quick work of a couple of guys.
Right, like they don't stand a chance.
But so in that uprising, eventually the Templars kind of get this alliance, a galactic alliance of races, and working together, they're able to put him down. He has a few lieutenants under him, very much like a Power Rangers villain.
Yeah.
And they kind of turn on him.
The Paladins of Obsidian.
Yes. And they kind of imprison him and banish him to a backwater planet that doesn't matter out in space, which is Earth.
I mean, we don't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
Probably not.
We don't have work capabilities, so... They wouldn't even really make first contact with us. Anyway.
You're talking about a different franchise.
Okay. So now little girl Mimi has the stone that gives him power, and
it also commands him.
It does, yes.
Which is the conceit of the whole film, basically.
Because when they meet up with him, he's already... conducted what he says is his greatest work ever by taking these, what is he, a thief?
They were petty thieves.
Yeah, petty thieves. And basically making him immortal by locking him forever in this trance of a nightmare.
Yeah, he can't move, but he's like seeing everything.
Yeah. This great special effects of eyes actually rolling in the head. So it was great. It's such a great scene. But the kids accidentally end up like knocking him over, and he explodes. and he's very upset because this was his masterpiece that he can do. So now naturally he's going to kill the kids because,
as you do,
right? He's just going to off them and then raise the planet basically and go back to destroying.
But surprise, Mimi has the stone, and as he's going to kill her, the stone starts glowing in her pocket, and she realizes, oh, wait, this is something to do with him, and commands him to stop. And he's like, shit, I have to stop. So now this little girl with a lot of issues is controlling this
powerful force, right?
Weapon of mass destruction. And from there is kind of where not like there's not already comedy in here, but this is where we really start kicking up the fun relationship between these two kids.
This is where it goes back to being like the Amblin family film.
Yeah. But they've got to name him.
Sure.
Like his name is the Archduke of Nightmares, and
they don't like that.
And he goes into like all of his other names of what he's been called and everything, but that's not really fitting. No. So after some deliberation, they finally land on Psycho Goreman.
Or PG for short.
PG for short, yeah. They order him to sit there and wait for him, like he's their newfound pet or whatever.
Yeah.
And the start of their misadventures is really just trying to teach him about like Earth culture.
Right.
Like Crazy Ball.
The Crazy Ball.
He's completely baffled by Crazy Ball, doesn't understand it, and I don't either.
And Mimi's favorite, Hunky Boys magazine. It's one of the funniest parts of the movie.
That's possibly the best joke in the entire movie.
So he becomes enamored with Hunky Boys.
And I don't know if you guys noticed, but the one part where they're like dressing him up in human clothes, the one time his outfit is basically Dr. Alan Grant from Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, so as things go along, this little kid that hangs out with him all the time. Jason, give me his name.
Alistair.
Yeah.
Alistair, yeah. Ends up turning Alistair into this giant brain.
Well, Mimi asks
She's
Psycho Goreman to like basically make him love her. He turns him into this, Krang looking thing from Teenage Mutant Turtles. He's like tentacles and big brain eyeball type thing.
And there is no
I'm not sure what purpose. I don't know how that was supposed to.
In his mind, in PG's mind, though, this was the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so.
But this prop, this suit, this special effect
It's great.
that Alistair turns into is so great. It's so incredibly cheesy. You can see the paint. You can see the latex.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so god-awfully good. Like
It's intentionally done badly in a great way.
And it's not insulting us as viewers.
No,
That's my favorite part of it. Is this isn't like some low-budget movie trying to pass something off. This is just straight up, look what we made.
And I think that's true of the tokusatsu genre as a whole. A lot of them don't have the best budgets or the craziest special effects, but they just put all their heart into what they make.
Yeah, it's pure creativity.
Yeah, you show up and you could see these guys in a pitch room together, like when they're writing this. And some dude goes and makes this thing, and he's like, dude, check this out. And they're like, what the fuck is that, man? Is that a giant brain? Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. That's just... Every creature design in this movie felt this way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But as we go along...
well, speaking of creatures, so the other end of this film, we've got this galactic council, and what a lineup of amazing monsters.
Yeah.
These are tropes of everything you've ever seen.
Do you guys have a favorite among the council?
I think what was it, Nexus? He was the one that talked the most.
Mm-hmm. My favorite's the one that's the brain in the jar.
Right.
Fine.
I don't think he ever says anything. He's always just sort of looking around.
But he's breathing heavily. Inside.
Right.
His eyes are always huge.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. I can't even explain. There's no way for me to explain the brain in the jar without showing you a picture.
That's great.
And it's when you see him, you have to laugh. You will laugh and you will smile because it's just so fucked up and good. But these guys, they're worried now.
Mm-hmm.
Because the
Archduke
stone...
Nightmares is going to come back and kill them all.
Exactly.
And they're led by a specific Templar, Pandora. She's kind of calling the shots.
Yes.
And she was the one that fell Psycho Goreman originally.
And you don't know from this until towards the end of the movie when PG really gives you his backstory. You don't know what to think about Pandora.
Mm-hmm.
Because PG isn't a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
No.
It's very much a neat element where, like, she looks very angelic, seems to be good, but really it's like an inversion of
We
that.
learn that her people are the oppressors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she kills a human to take her form.
Yeah.
So she can come to Earth in that guise. And the way she like squashes her into this meat cube.
Yes.
And it's so brutal. And then she squishes it and starts rubbing all over her face. And it's like...
She says no regard for other life.
Yeah, none whatsoever. It's all about her idea of order. And everyone else can just die. If they're
It
in the
wasn't
way.
until that moment, though, when that you get her true motives.
Yeah.
Or that you start to see that she's not,
She isn't this bastion of goodness.
Yeah, she doesn't care about individualism at all.
Right. And maybe I was just naive, and, I figured she was not good all along, but I was probably naive and didn't think she was that bad. But yeah, so now that the stone is present and PG is now near the stone, they're pretty worried. So now it's time to come to Earth. And this is just as Psycho Goreman is starting to get along with the kids well.
But really his goal is to get the stone back.
Right.
He's kind of playing along.
Yeah, he's trying to grab it whenever she's not looking. And...
Yeah, his whole plan is to get But as he's being around them more, he still wants to kill them because he's the Archduke of Nightmares, and that's what he does.
Oh, yeah.
But he's starting to realize, they're not horrible.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of likes them.
And he learns that, Earth's not that bad. He likes a lot of little luxuries.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of hunky boys.
Oh, yeah.
Hunky boys on Earth. And now we get this incredible cast of Psycho Goreman's lieutenants.
The Paladins of Obsidian
Yes.
show up.
Oh, my
and
God.
Psycho Goreman thinks they're there to help.
Right.
But
Turns
no.
out they're not.
Mm-hmm.
They're there to kill him. These are probably the most Power Ranger-y villains.
Yes.
They're great. Every design is so good. And it's done in a goofy manner, but each character is so interesting. I legit want to know more about
I do too.
them.
Yes.
I do too. I want to read their backstory. I want to see like their adventures.
Yeah, there's the leader of the group. His name's Darkscream, which is an obvious reference to Starscream from
Yeah.
Transformers. Of course, and he's traitorous and everything, so that name fits. And Cassius 3000.
He was my favorite.
It was like this robotic,
He was kind of like a Greek.
yeah,
Romany-
like a neo-Greek
Yeah.
type thing. It's just so much fun.
They felt like everybody was allowed in the room to like create some character and give them their own backstory in their mind and then just flesh him out.
Yeah.
and
like-
maybe we don't know them, but they got him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
here's some they're like, okay, just make this. Just think of what you can do and make it. And
And it's that true, like, as they fight, when they hit, like, sparks are shooting off them.
Right. And that's one of my favorite scenes because it
Yeah.
goes slow motion. There's just epic music. Psycho Goreman had ordered the Paladins to kill Mimi and her brother, but Mimi's got the stone. So she's like, I don't think so, and makes him stand still. And they're just wailing on him. And epic music, and all these sparks are flying, and blood's going. And then it cuts to like the kid's point of view, and there's no music, and it's just a bunch of weirdos in costumes hitting each other in the woods,
Yes.
like there's some LARPers or something.
but eventually it turns out that she's going to have to give him the stone.
Mhm.
She's going to
Why?
have to because he's got to kill.
He gets hurt. He gets
Yeah.
injured.
Yeah, he needs the stone is connected to his power, and he needs to, be reunited with it so that he can fight back. And so once he agrees to not kill them in exchange for the stone,
Well, there's a little like wrench in the work first before that goes down.
Right.
Right. We kind of get back into the whole like family film angle of things.
right?
Pandora's on Earth. She's trying to track down Psycho Goreman, and she links up with the mother, Susan, and kind of tells her what's going on. Hey, this guy's bad.
Right.
And meanwhile, Psycho Goreman's been working on the brother, Luke, because he notices that rift between them.
Yeah, he thinks Luke is his way to the stone.
And there's a great dream sequence where he comes to him in a nightmare.
Oh,
Right
yeah.
out of Phantasm.
Phantasm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
He even comes out saying, boy.
It was great. Oh, we were all sitting there just going, yes, yes.
And then the punchline of it that like they talk, and then it's like, so what do we do now? It's like, oh, we wait for you to wake up.
And they just stand there for a few seconds looking around.
Yeah, so he's working on them, trying to get the stone back, but eventually they come to a head where Pandora wants the stone so she can defeat Psycho Goreman. Susan wants to save her family. The kids want to help Psycho Goreman. And kind of in the middle of it all is this, schlubby dad, Luke,
Right.
who
also bends to Mimi's will.
and to this point, he had a conflict with Susan about his, I guess his laziness, you would say, right? That he doesn't do anything ever.
Right.
He
But he
tries-
made that chicken dinner.
He tries to make them a chicken dinner, but he puts the whole chicken in the microwave.
Yeah, apparently
and
it explodes
and
in the microwave.
explodes, and they're mad at him for not cleaning it up, and he's just feeling very
Well, he felt pride at first because I make dinner for my family.
And in that one moment, in that one moment when he could just do nothing and kind of save the day, he chooses to do something and support his daughter
Yeah.
Right. And drives off
and
with her.
takes them away.
The relationship though, the relationship between him and his wife really hurts to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
That's real.
Yeah, it's very real because they don't realize what they're doing to their children.
Yeah.
Like they're really messing up their kids by their own inability to either one get their shit together
Mm-hmm.
with each other and raise their children together, or just call it quits, separate,
Right.
get the toxicity out of that.
And we've all been there in those types of relationships.
Yeah, we know.
You've
But
been in them or you've seen others. You know it.
Or you're in one now.
oh, you shut your damn mouth, dude. She'll hear it. She's upstairs. She's upstairs.
I
right
wasn't
now.
talking about you. You're a little defensive on that, Michael.
Your wife is up there too.
I wasn't talking about me.
And you know what? Before we talk about this climax, we do need to rewind a little bit because something I want to talk about is that cop. when they teach Psycho Goreman how to play Crazy Ball, some cops roll up on him because they're like, "Whoa, what's this monster?"
Yeah.
Right.
And he kills one, but then he morphs the other into this kind of like
Biocops,
Yeah.
he's called.
yeah.
I actually forgot about that.
And he's just great. He's making this stupid looking face the whole time. It's like a rubbery mask.
And his gun like fuses to his hand like in Videodrome.
It keeps shooting out of randomly, just
yeah,
like
he's
shooting.
trying to kill himself.
Yeah,
Right.
but he
Keeps
can't
missing.
do it.
He
Yeah.
can't talk. He's barely coherent. He's just kind of ooh.
It's in such bad taste, but yet so funny.
And you think like this guy's just like his life is ruined now because he rolled up on Psycho
Yeah,
Goreman.
because he had to show up and do his job.
Yeah.
Because of PG's casual cruelty.
Well, and aren't they playing in a schoolyard too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this dude should not be at a school.
Well, the worst part is that Mimi has to start explaining Crazy Ball again
Yeah.
for Biocop because he's going to join in on the game but doesn't
Right.
know how to play.
Right.
But so Luke takes the kids and an injured Psycho Goreman and runs away, and Pandora kind of like baptizes Susan into being one like her with like the biotech armor.
Yes.
Right. She completely exploits her and brings her into her.
And it sets up our big final clash.
Yes. Okay, so Psycho Goreman is injured. And he's dying.
He needs the stone.
He needs the stone to survive. And Pandora and their mom now have come to kill Psycho Goreman. And what we gather as an audience is that Pandora is also going to enslave the human race.
They're going to join the galactic empire thing that's going on.
Right. So Psycho Goreman knows that they're going to enslave Earth too, but his ultimate goal is he just wants to kill Pandora as revenge. So the only way to get Psycho Goreman into the fight and save the planet Earth is to give him the stone.
Yep.
And just as that's all settled, at the worst moment, Luke kind of sides with the mom.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And PG challenges Pandora to fight according to the Templar's code, and he chooses the fight to take the form of Crazy Ball.
So now
the factions line up and they play Crazy Ball to decide the fate of humanity.
Yes. And everyone is confused. Like,
Right.
I mean, the kids are the only one that... No, I think parents know how to play Crazy Ball.
They know more than Pandora or PG do. But
Yeah.
yes.
But yeah, Crazy Ball. This is our final battle. It's not really. Well, you do get a little bit of action between them.
Yeah, that's also filmed that epic, slow motions and angles of them throwing balls at each other.
And you can
Yes.
tell they're having a blast
while
while they're shooting it.
Yeah.
So yeah, finally, we guess who's going to win Crazy Ball, and so because they made the deal with Psycho Goreman that if they gave him the stone, he would not kill the kids or their family. He would leave them alone.
Yeah.
And that's where you really get Luke and Mimi kind of have their moment where he's like, hey, you've been kind of a jerk to me all this time. It's hurt my feelings. And at first she doesn't want to apologize, but she finally sort of like relents.
Yeah, she does
Apologizes.
realize that she should.
And they kind of reconcile their little rift that they've had.
And so now the team's all back together again, and
Psycho Goreman goes on to kill the rest of humanity.
right,
But
because
spares
he
the
didn't
family.
promise to not kill the rest of humanity.
No. He starts slaughtering the other town members.
Yep,
and-
he's fully powered. He gets this wicked awesome sword.
But we do see Mom and Dad finally start to put some differences aside a little bit and realize that they've kind of been neglecting their children through all of their own personal drama and bullshit.
And that's where you get the through line of this Amblin film. You get the resolution there where the family has kind of sorted out their issues and they've come together and now they are closer and stronger
Right,
as a family.
due to everything. So Psycho Goreman opens a riff that he's able to walk straight into downtown of this town, and he just starts hurling plasma balls at everything,
Yeah.
and shit's exploding everywhere.
great.
It comes on the news that this crazy monster is blowing everything up downtown, and that's kind of our send-off for the film. That's
We get one more look at Alistair.
Yeah, still a brain. That's,
poor Alistair,
that's
man.
life. And don't they go back to the council too?
They do.
Yeah.
They have a backup plan in case Pandora failed, which involves a revolver.
Oh God.
So yes,
So it's
Psycho
not
Goreman.
a complicated film, but it's so much fun, so much heart.
I feel like I could watch this movie 5 times and probably pick up on something new every single time as well.
I did something I rarely ever do. The next day, I watched it again.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
'Cause Karen was interested in it, my wife, and because we were laughing about it, she's like, "What were you watching?"
She was ready to see the
She was
hunky
ready
boys.
to see it. She wanted to see the Hunky Boys,
Who can blame her?
and she liked it. And it was even probably better the second time around. Honestly, maybe because I knew what to expect. I don't know, but yeah, I never do that. I never watch another movie right away like that.
There's an awe factor to it because when you're watching it initially, it's all the things we love.
It is everything we. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's to me, it's like if in 1980. The 1980s, Paul Verhoeven had directed the Masters of the Universe movie on acid. I think this is what we would have gotten.
What a tagline!
Yeah,
Kostansky, maybe you need to like use this as your tagline.
I think it works.
Throw that on the poster.
Yeah, it's on the VHS cover. We did have some issues with audio in this, though.
Yeah, what was up with that,
Did
Jason?
that
Is that-
change when you did
was
you
that-
No,
watch
it was the same. We had streamed it through Amazon because it comes out on Blu-ray in March sometime, I think. But yeah, the audio was a little weird, especially for Mimi in particular. I don't know why, but
So-
her audio seemed really low in the mix.
I wonder if that's an Amazon problem or a film problem. So I
doubt
question
it.
that.
I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. Are you picking up the blue?
I'll buy it.
Yeah, I probably will.
I'm buying
Yeah.
it.
So we'll have to wait and see when that comes out. But that was an issue that hit us while we were watching it. We did have to stop
Yeah.
and try to fix it.
Now the second night I turned on the subtitles and it was a little better.
You went full audiophile.
I
trying
did.
to fix it.
I was freaking out a little.
We were like
bit.
20 minutes in, and I was like, "Dude, come on!" I was fine. I was fine.
I was
with it.
straining too much to hear it.
No,
I really
you were
was.
dying. You
Yeah.
were
Oh,
you were going off the rails.
can't do it.
Okay, so we've talked about it now. I've got everything out. I've missed so much.
That's the plot of Psycho Goreman.
Yeah, there you go. There's the.
I mean,
film.
there are more little like incidents and scenes, but it's really all just kind of building on that theme of like the Amblin family fun moment or this like monster mash going on.
Right, and even if you watch the trailer for this movie, I still don't think it prepared me
No.
for what it was going.
Yeah, the trailer looks fun, but there's a lot of trailers like that where it's, it looks like an escapist, nostalgia-filled, kind of goofy, and then it doesn't really pay off. But this one paid off a lot. I was really surprised how much I like this movie.
So what's your rating, Jason?
Oh, we're doing a rating already?
Well, I have some criticisms if we want to talk
All
a
right,
little bit
we
first.
gotta
real
get
quick.
that.
All right,
Yeah.
all right, all right.
Um,
If you want to be wrong for a little while, that's okay.
well, it is okay. So, when I think about this film, I think that when they made it, they're on a certain wavelength. And while you could appreciate it just as like a horror comedy or just as this or that, I think to really fully appreciate it, you kind of need to be on that same wavelength.
Absolutely.
Which for the three of us isn't a problem, but I wonder about some other people that maybe aren't as immersed in this.
Oh, this is not for everybody.
If this is going to be like what is going on right now?
Right.
This is one of those movies that I think if it were to play at a horror convention,
Oh, to kill.
it would kill there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you are the type of person that go to like Horror Hound or Mad Monster Fest or whatever part of the country or world that you're in that has horror conventions, maybe when we can have them again,
One day.
yeah, this would be one of those fan festival favorites.
But so here's my actual quibble that I have.
Okay.
I love that it's a hybrid because I get all of this and I think it's great. But I think when you kind of drill down and look at it as like a Toku style monster mash, I think it falls a little short of like the amount of action and stuff I would want to see in it. And then I think on the other end is like this 80s family film thing. The actual story that's there is kind of rote and overdone. And it's definitely one you've seen a lot before. And so I feel like while it is a hybrid in that way, it like kind of loses a little bit of the feeling. Like especially that final moment, the final fight. It's funny that it turns out to be Crazy Ball, but I really wanted to see them go at it, like full out. And you see a little, but it just didn't feel like it was enough for me. I wanted another scene like when he fights his lieutenants.
I will agree with you on that. His final fight with Pandora, I think, was a little underwhelming. I don't know if that was intentional.
Because I just feel like you got the suits, you got everyone there, like go at it, man.
It would have been funner to see a little bit more over the top.
You knew it was going to be Crazy Ball, though.
Yeah,
The Crazy Ball part I like. But they
That-
do
that
keep,
part,
because Pandora breaks her deal.
Yeah.
They win Crazy Ball, she loses, but she's still like, no, I'm going to kill him anyway.
and that's the nail in like her integrity is
right.
a hero or
And
not.
It would have been more satisfying if I agree with you, if there was a bigger, more epic fight between the two of them.
And for me, I love my monster mashes.
Sure,
So,
sure. But I think with all the goodies we got in this movie, I think that's a minor quibble,
oh yeah, definitely a minor one.
but I see it.
Initially, I was a little frustrated when you said that because I was like, no, Dustin, no. But now that you pointed out, yeah, I can see that. I would have liked to have seen a little more there.
Because I remember thinking as it went into the crazy ball, I was like, this is kind of going to be it, isn't it? I bet.
Yeah.
Because once he's powered up, he kind of just goes full out and then finishes her right away.
Well, now you pooped on my bubble a little bit.
But that aside, it's still an amazing film.
Yes. Honestly, that's my only quibble with the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
It's tight. It's paced well.
It's hilarious.
There's really not a lot of fluff in it.
No.
Everything
It's
feels
trim. Yeah.
feels like it should be there.
And again, like I said, it made me want more. Like his backstory, he keeps going into, and they'll cut him off, and they show the scenes of him like riding in this huge like air chariot, firing lasers at some giant monster. I want more of that.
Yeah,
that's like me when I was a kid playing with my Masters of the Universe action figures. It was just
yes,
that hyper reality, and it's just
I'm not. I almost think it would be wrong though to do more of this.
That's not the point of the film. It's
Right.
what we want, but it's not
right. And
the
it's
idea.
good to be left wanting more.
Right.
That's what a movie should do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's as much as I want to see that. We don't.
At least a movie like this.
Yeah. I could. What would be hilarious though is if we got like a 90s style animation bit of it. Like the way they turned Toxic Avenger into a cartoon.
Yes.
That would be great just to have an awesome 90s style cartoon adventure of Psycho Goreman going throughout the galaxy.
Because, of course, then with animation, you can kind of do a lot more.
Yeah.
As far as like the space stuff.
You still get the goofiness of the character, and you get to go into all the crazy ass shit that goes on with him.
I would totally be down for that. But it should be done in the Filmation style that they did Masters of the Universe in.
Yeah, give me like 20-minute episodes or less.
Yeah.
Something quick and easy. I don't know. I don't know if we get that or not.
But I guess the point is these Astron 6 guys are on fire.
Yes.
Everything they make
Absolutely.
is great. I can't wait for the next thing any of them puts out.
All I had to know for this one was just that it was the creators of The Void.
Mm-hmm.
Because I loved The Void so much. It was such a surprise.
You'll love the editor, too, once you watch it.
Okay, yeah. Well, you guys watched it without me. So
We'll
it's
get you
cool.
there.
You were in Ohio. What were we supposed to do?
You could have waited.
But so, Michael, wrapping up, what would you actually rate this if we get down to the nitty-gritty?
For me, 5 out of 5. Full 5 stars for me.
Respectable.
Wow.
I loved it. It's all the things I love. I am just a total nerd for monsters and practical effects.
Hunky boys.
Hunky boys. I mean, Jason just picked up a Ruggero Deodato Blu-ray called the Barbarians that I've not seen, but the cover has a couple hunky boys on it. And,
Indeed it does. The Barbarian Brothers.
yeah, and I was all on board to watch that. But I absolutely love this movie. I went into it expecting to love it, and I know that probably colored it a little bit, but then I still loved it. I mean, it was better than what I hoped for.
And that's the thing. My personal expectations were kind of high.
Right.
Because I'm familiar with their work.
Me too. Yeah.
And it delivered, more than I was expecting.
Yeah, it's always hard because a lot of filmmakers will have that one that you can tell was where their ideas were, and it was really well thought out. And the next one is kind of like, okay, well, you kind of blew your load, didn't you? But this
not
one,
this time.
not so much. No, it was just fantastic. So, Jason, where are you at on it?
Because of that minor quibble, I would do 4.5 rating.
Okay, well, you don't get 5 stars anyway, so.
I do.
Yeah, that's like your
I
highest
will.
recommendation you can give.
It's, yes, it's an honor rarely bestowed, but one day it will be.
Soul Plane, you already told me.
Yes, so plain, of course.
You gave Soul Plane 5 stars.
5 stars.
Well, it was an easy sell on me. I loved it so much. I want to see more people try to do this style because really, I mean, it's not a lot going on. You can kind of go to the MCU films to get a little bit of this, but then that's also leaning more on American comic books.
Right.
So it's still a little different. But yeah, man, I loved it start to finish. But
What's your rating?
because of my hang-ups a little bit, I am going to say, I think, 4 out of 5.
Okay. All right, so we're on the
I'm
same
comfortable
level.
there.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. You're wrong, but it's fair.
It's okay.
That's still, especially from us, that is a raging endorsement.
And absolutely, get out there, check this out.
So we rented this from Amazon, like we said.
Actually, I went and bought it from Amazon.
Isn't it coming to Shudder or something
Yeah,
soon?
in a
I
month
think.
or so.
We just couldn't wait.
No.
No.
It was also my pick, and I didn't want to watch this movie by myself. So
It plays great, too, as a group watch.
yeah.
Probably better. Yeah.
Be safe about it, though, right now. Be safe about your group watch. Don't get together with people that aren't necessarily part of your circle or your pod.
Right.
Be responsible.
Be responsible.
But yeah, cannot recommend it enough. Watch it.
Check it out. Check out all their other films. It's
All
great
right.
stuff.
So next week, Jason's pick.
It is. Oh
What
my
are we
gosh.
watching?
We're going to watch a movie from 1981, arguably the best decade for horror.
Ooh, yeah.
It is called Dead and Buried,
Cool.
directed by Gary Sherman.
I've heard often of it and never had the chance to watch it, so I'm excited.
It's one of those underseen movies from the 80s I think you'll enjoy.
Same for me. I've seen the poster.
Yeah, great
It has a
poster.
killer poster.
Killer.
Yeah. I remember the poster seems like it's one of those things that you've seen it so much that you're like, I'm pretty sure I've seen Dead and Buried, but you haven't because
Right. Probably you haven't.
And I can
Yeah.
remember in the video stores, I picked up the VHS box so many times and just, I guess every time there was always kind of something else.
Yeah.
Just never
Same
got to
way.
it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I'm really excited.
All right. We'll see how that turns out.
All right. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Write to us. Talk to us. Dustin, where can they find us?
genreexposure@gmail.com or at genreexposure on your favorite social media.
You can also find Hunky Boys on our fans-only site. And those Hunky Boys would be us.
Pending on that, we'll see how that goes.
Okay, well, they're not as down for it as I am. Yeah, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.